Hey guys, this is Narenzade, and I'm going to review Gotrek and Felix, End Times, Kinslayer. I've read all of the Gotrek and Felix books, and this one so far has been. Um, First, let me start off by saying that there's going to be some major spoilers ahead. So I'm going to start with the not spoilery stuff, and then I'm going to go into the spoiler stuff, and I will give you fair warning, so don't worry. Um, I guess first things first, I've read all the Gotrek and Felix novels, at least as far as the Slayers go. I read up to Zombie Slayer, and then I wanted to read the rest, but all of the reviews I read said that um, those in-between books were pretty not good. So I didn't read, any of the other novels until this one came out, Kinslayer. So my first impression is that I wasn't overly impressed with it. Um, it wasn't a letdown, but it wasn't the Gotrek and Felix books that I knew from William King and the other author who they were also the one who wrote the Ulrika the Vampire series. His name's uh, Nathan Long. Um, so the book is very hard to follow. I feel from the beginning. I mean, there's at least one Kislevite word every paragraph or so, and it's somewhat confusing, and there are very jarring transitions. Like they'll be in the middle of a scene, and then all of a sudden you'll be, with another character, and yeah, it's just it's very difficult to follow at times. I guess now I have to move into the spoiler stuff because there's really not much to talk about when you're doing a book review unless you're reviewing the material. So all the characters are in the book that you know and love. Snorri Nosebiter, Ulrika, Max, Felix, and Gotrek. So the book starts out, and Felix and Gotrek have been separated. Felix gets married to Kat, which I'm fine with, whatever. But Gotrek isn't in the first half of the book. I mean, he's mentioned briefly, but other than that, he's not in it. You mostly follow Snorri as he's regaining his memories. You follow Felix some as he's being seduced by Ulrika to travel to Kislev to help her. It's not, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. Like, it hurt, like, Felix, to me, Gotrek and Felix should never be separated. I mean, Felix went through so much with Gotrek, and then all of a sudden, I mean, now he's going to settle down. I don't know. It was hard to believe. And then Ulrika shows up, and she's a total BAMF. And I read the Ulrika the Vampire series, and I really liked that too. But she's much more evil in this book, and I would have liked to have seen that transformation in her own series, because she's manipulative, she lies to Felix, and I mean, I guess you could just consider, it's the nature of the vampire or the beast, but in the whole Ulrika the Vampire series, she's fighting against that nature, and in a lot of cases winning. So it just didn't feel right. Max is barely in the book, which I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it's strange that he's like the focal point. It's like, we got to save Max, and then he just kind of is in this tower for the majority of the book. So anyway, you follow Felix and Gotrek and Snorri as they're kind of converging on the same place. Vlad von Karstein shows up, and I guess Ulrika's working for Vlad now, just because her von Karstein nature must be taking over or whatever. So they fight another vampire, or another cast warrior named Hellbrass, I believe, and he's like the giver of life, and he's the anti-vampire. And I feel like Vlad is the Darth Vader of Warhammer Fantasy. Everyone's like, oh, he's a total badass, and like he almost took over the Empire, but then he just gets slapped around every time you see him. I mean, so that was disappointing. And then Felix kills the guy by like pillar breaks and falls on top of him, and that's just the end. So that was very anticlimactic. So then everyone finally gets reunited in like Kislev. They go through like the Arc Bastion and like all this stuff, and it's kind of whatever. It's not. I mean, it's just hard to follow, and suddenly they're trying to like go after Throg, and that's all good and fine. So here's the real couple parts that really bothered me. So Ulrika ends up drinking troll blood and going just completely full vampire beast mode. And she tries to kill Felix after Felix sees that she's like drinking from his nephew Gustav or whatever. And Felix straight up decapitates Ulrika. And he's upset for about a paragraph, and then Max doesn't even react. His literal response is, "You didn't have to do that. Her magic was like a child. I could have stopped her." And Felix is like, "It shouldn't have been you. You loved her more than I ever did." And he's like, "Maybe." And that's it. And they move on. And I was completely dumbstruck. I was like, this should have been one of the major turning points. Like, this is where Max should lose his mind and like either try to attack Felix or like, why? I mean, I don't know. It was very strange. And then you have your showdown between Throg and Gotrek, and of course Gotrek, beats Throg. He falls out of a window or whatever, and you don't see Throg die, so he's alive. And then they reveal Gotrek and Snorri shame. Gotrek is a Kinslayer. I guess he killed the Thane that was supposed to protect his wife and child while he was away in the Chaos Waste. And Snorri is the one who convinced Gotrek to go. And Snorri also got drunk on the way and beat up some rangers that were going to warn everyone about goblins. And those goblins killed Gotrek's daughter, and Snorri, in a drunken haze, killed Gotrek's wife. It was really strange and very, I don't know, I felt almost cliched, and I mean, I didn't feel like it all needed to be tied in together like that. I thought the mystery of Gotrek's shame would have been all right to never find out, or just to simply mention, oh, he's a Kinslayer. That's why, he's a Slayer. It was very, very jarring. And then Gotrek fights Snorri and kills Snorri. And then the book ends with Gotrek telling Felix he's going to take him home to Cat. And that's essentially it. So the book it lacked its normal humor. I didn't get a chuckle I don't think I chuckled once during the whole book. And I love the grim aspect of the grim fantasy aspect of it, but I felt like the emotional moments should have been way, way more intense. Like, to have Felix cut off Ulrika's head and be like, 2 paragraphs later is just mind-blowing to me. I mean, she was a staple, and her character changed so much, without any... I mean, they're like, well, the rise of Nagash must have made her fall so quick because she's so young. It's like, that's kind of a cop-out. And then to have, Snorri and Gotrek shames revealed, and then to have them intertwined so much, I just felt like it was very sloppy. But on the plus side, I'm very excited for Slayer, the final book in the Gotrek and Felix series. I think he's going to fight Archeon, and I think he's going to hopefully kill him. But I don't know. This book worried me a little bit. I just hope that the rest of the series is handled with a good amount of finesse and it's done right. I think it's a good place to end the book series. I mean, I feel like it's been going on for a very long time, and there's been a lot of great stories that have come out of it, but without the 2 mainstay writers in my mind writing it, it's better to end it than to continually drag it on. So in the end, I mean, out of as far as Gotrek and Felix books go, I'll give it a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5. But there's no way you can't not read it because I mean, it's book 1 of 2 in the Doom of Gotrek Gurnison. I mean, there's no other way. There's no way you can't read it if you've been a fan of the series. So that was all I wanted to say. I just wanted to, throw it out there. And if anyone could comment on it or, tell me how they feel, I would really like to, get a discussion going just because I don't know if I'm the only one or if I missed something or what the issue was. But I'm really hoping that in Slayer, it ends well. I hope Gotrek has the mightiest of dooms. Die well, Slayer. Have a good one, guys.